Before we get started tonight, ladies and gentlemen, another episode here of Fast Break on IE Sports Radio. I want to discuss y'all about the last 8 years of the network. For the last 8 years, IE Sports Radio has been bringing you amazing content ranging from interviewing legendary athletes to building tailor-made shows dedicated to all major sports cities around the country. All the while, we have been continuing to be by the fans, for the fans, and with your help, we're ready to take the next step. When you go to our website, iSportsRadio.com, you'll see our Patreon link with 5 different tiers. The first one started at $5 a month. This donation gets you shout-outs on all 32 of our shows. Higher tiers include IE Sports Radio merchandise, access to our podcasting university, and even a chance to be featured on our segment, our flagship show, The Defining Moment. Thank you all very much for continuing to make IE Sports Radio your direct feed for all your sports. We want to shout out to our 4 Patreon members: Bay Area Rays, Marcus, Los, Great, Keep to the Gate, and Anonymous. Thank you to everyone for making our 8th anniversary special. And here's for many more years to come. Now on to the show. Lots to discuss tonight. Tonight we'll talk about the 4 overtime game between Alabama and North Carolina and what that means for both teams moving forward in the course of the season. Plus, a discussion we had offline. If the Lakers make a move for a Miles Turner Buddy Hield, what would that impact does for the Lakers? But got 2 counters on that. Plus, the Sixers out without Tyrese Maxey, James Harden, Joel Embiid now. Can they weather the storm until those guys come back? Or will those guys being out, will they take a slide and not come back? We'll discuss that and much more here on Fast Break Live on IE Sports Radio. Your direct feed to all this sports. And you're welcome to join us. Join us as you shout tonight, ladies and gentlemen. A lot to talk about, a lot to discuss on the last day on this Thanksgiving weekend. D-Lock, how you doing tonight, sir?
I am doing better. Rough weekend for my sports teams, but it is what it is. Yeah, I think right now my Orlando Magic in the ass without Tyrese Maxey or Joel Embiid against the Sixers. So rough week, but I'm doing good.
Well, we can talk about that game real quick. I mean, Philly up 111-88 right now on the Magic. Magic, getting Paolo back in the fold into things. And, Orlando don't have Wendell Carter tonight. What, in your eyes, about Philly? No Maxey. No Embiid, no Harden. But, Shake Milton has 27 points. Tobias Harris, he's still there, 21. You got 15 off the bench for House and 11 for Korkmaz, if I pronounced that name correctly. How long do you see Philly kind of holding the ship until those big 3 guys come back for them?
Well, for me, one player that's playing very well for them, I wanted to point out, is Shake Milton. He stepped up, and has played exceptionally well for them. So he's filled that role. Now the thing is, how long does James Harden be out? I think it's going to take a big impact. Now they got a very impressive win, I believe, against Brooklyn a few days ago, right before Thanksgiving. 115 or 106, everybody was expecting. That was Ben Simmons' welcome back home to Philly, or welcome back to Philly. They were expecting them to just blow out the 76ers. That didn't happen. So I think that was one of the big key games that you were expecting them to lose, and they actually end up winning. So for me, I think that they can hold it together pretty decent. Now they do have a rough couple games coming up, hosting Atlanta, then having Cleveland and Memphis. I think those three games will be some tough ones. Then they got Houston, and they got LA. So right now, those top Eastern heavy teams, the Hawks and the Cavaliers, are the teams that are gonna, challenge them big time, especially with the guards that they have. So for me, I think that they'll be able to hold it together for some time, but Embiid is gonna have to come back sooner rather than later, because now you're gonna run into some other teams a little later. But looking at their schedule, I mean, like I said, after you got Atlanta and Cleveland and Memphis, and after that, I mean, they're pretty solid. Houston, Lakers, Charlotte again, the Kings, which is a surprising team, and the Warriors, and then Toronto. So there's some teams that they're gonna have to face, but I think they should be pretty good. Right now, they're building the actual chemistry without those guys. So hopefully, when they do come back, that make a big impact.
I'm looking right now. It's 115 to 90 right now. And I want to shout out to the chat. Shout out to Terry Rodriguez in the chat. Shout out to Adam Clark in the chat. Terry, we'll talk about the Alabama game, North Carolina here. North Carolina game here in a second. But I look at things here. Not probably Mo Bamba's not his best game, and not Bo's best game. And Bo's been playing pretty solid for Orlando. Paolo being back is a big sign for them, because I kind of wonder, what this team would be like if he ain't won out all those weeks. That's a big question right there. Where that be at in the standings. If he didn't miss all those games. I'm not saying they are going to run and whatnot, but right now looking at in the standings, they could be ahead of Charlotte right now, and possibly Chicago with the way they're playing. But for Philly to win this game, a game that you should expect to win against a lower level team, speaks pretty good volumes for them. I think PJ Tucker, I think he's got to score the ball a little bit more. I know he's there to bring the defense and stuff like that, but you got to at least give me 6 points, at least a game. And I think for Tobias Harris, he's got to be consistent. I mean, he signed that big deal. And then it's like he got his money, and then he'll pick and choose when he kind of want to come out and play. So if he could carry, this team along with Milton, I think that will go a long way for this team come at least by January, where everybody's supposed to be coming back. But if that's not the case, then you may have to look to offload Harris and try and get some other pieces to fill in the job. And then Paul Reed had a good game off the bench, 10 for 10 for him. Montrez, 9-7, that's okay. But you're playing against those bigs for Orlando, especially when the Carter not playing. You expect them to eat a little bit more than that. But all in all, I think a good solid win for Philly. Like you alluded to about the schedule. They do got the Hawks next game, but you get them at home. Then you go on the road against the Cavs. So two games that you play two quality backcourts, can you reserve guards kind of hold the fort, or would that be the time that trouble side kind of roll down the hill? Day after that, you play Memphis with John Morant. So we'll see that if they can hold the fort, for Philly. How did you have the last word?
I think, and I agree. I think, like I said, with what they have now, the person that needs to play a little bit more, we talked about him last time because of the debate that he had with Giannis, is Montrezl Harrell. I want to see more from him. And like I said, it just seems like we haven't seen that much from him recently in any of his recent stops. So hopefully we can see something from him. Moving forward, he needs to make a bigger impact. But being the fact that the Hawks, like I said, the Hawks are much better. The Cavs are much better. Brooklyn seems like they're starting to get their footing a little bit. They're gonna have to start getting things together. So for me, again, I think that this team has the bodies, but those healthy guys got to come back for them to get on the roll when they want to. And honestly, it seems like James Harden been gone forever.
Yeah. Yeah, it seems like that, but we look at him, he hasn't been gone that long, but it kind of feels like an attorney in that sense. And your team struggled against the Sixers today. If you look on the call side of things, Alabama men's basketball, they went 4 overtimes with the number 1 team, North Carolina, 103-101. D-Lock, North Carolina really hasn't, to me, seemed like a number 1 team. I know they brought a lot of guys back from the championship run last team, but I just didn't seem like they number 1. And then seeing them going 4 times against Alabama today, what do you make of that about North Carolina? Kind of struggling with some teams here and there. Then going 4 times with Alabama, a quality team. But, a team that you should beat because of your veterans that you returned. What you make of the 4 overtime game today up in Oregon?
I think one thing that I noticed about a lot of these teams, it's still early in the season. So you're going to see a lot of different things going on as far as, chemistry, different things. And I think that for me, I want to see just them build that chemistry. So I think that personally, that when they go to overtime, you still have these teams find their footing. And the season doesn't really get, the season starts now, but it doesn't really get going until about January. So for me, that's what I'm kind of expecting. So I think that this is going to be one of those exciting seasons. I think North Carolina is going to be one to watch out for. But also, let's not forget, we are talking about North Carolina, part of that huge conference that has great basketball teams and the ACC. So for me personally, I haven't looked into it yet. I will give it a couple more games for me to actually start to dial in and think, okay, well, this is what I expect from this team, X, Y, and Z. I think that right now we're going to see these teams start to look a lot better as the year goes, and North Carolina being one of them.
I think for me, watching this game, it's just like, who cannot mess up at certain points? This is like Alabama. They do something stupid when they had the ball towards in this overtime period. They do something stupid. Then North Carolina, they'll get the ball back and they do something stupid. It's like one team score, the other team score, then each one they do something stupid. It's like, what are we doing here? But like you allude to, I mean, it's early in the season. I think with North Carolina looking their side of things, it's just like, yeah, they were number one team in the country, but it never really seemed that way. You know, they kind of struggle with some teams. You know, Garden Webb, USC Wilmington, Portland, in that first round matchup in the Phil Knight Invitational. And then they lose to Iowa State. Quality team. Quality team. But, I mean, still, if you bring everybody back like this, you got, I mean, with everybody back and the cohesiveness and stuff like that, you know, it should be, you know, more laid out and whatnot. Because on Alabama side of things, I mean, you breaking in, you know, about four new starters surrounding Bediako. You know, Brandon Miller, who probably one of the best freshmen in the country, and then you looking like potentially a top 5 pick. All things, you know, considered done by the end of the season. But, you know, you can't take advantage of that. Now, I don't know what to tell you. And it's not one of those Alabama teams, D-Lock, that we see when they that kind of like shoot the ball crazy. Yeah, I know. No Kyrie. Yes. Kyrie, yes. We kind of touched on last week, Kyrie. I hope, like, we just try to talk straight basketball about Kyrie and stuff like that. So, yeah, no lead off of Kyrie this time around. Thank goodness. But anyways, you know, I look at UNC's rest of the schedule coming up at the end of the month. They got Indiana here on the 30th. That's going to be a tough matchup. And they got to go up to Bloomington for that one. And then, you know, they start AC play pretty early with playing against Virginia Tech on the 4th. And then Georgia Tech on the 10th. So, I mean, that's a pretty tough schedule right there if you're North Carolina. And the Indiana game, if you play a long game like this, can help or hurt you depending on momentum going to that game. And then, you know, for Alabama, they got South Dakota State. Then you got a nice tough stretch between Houston, Memphis, and Gonzaga and Birmingham. That's a tough stretch. They played that stretch last year. You know, they came out 2-1 last year by beating Houston and Gonzaga. You know, can they do that again, 2-1 this year? Good possibility. Houston is one of the more tougher teams in the country, led by Calvin Sampson, who really has redeemed himself pretty well since coming back to the college ranks. So for these two teams, I mean, it's a good quality win for Alabama, a momentum builder, a good loss for North Carolina to kind of work on some things to kind of like, you know, back to back too, and then also kind of work on things like, damn, we shouldn't have set this high screen there. Maybe we did this better. Okay, I'll tell my guards quit looking for contact on my jump shots. Who I forgot the guard's name for North Carolina, who kept doing that. I can't think of his name right now, but I'll tell one of my guards, quit looking for contact after the jump shot every time. Just play straight through. And I think things will be good. We'll see. They got a big game on the 30th against Indiana. And it's going to be a tough one, too, because Mike Woodson is a tough guy. But I'll leave that last word. That's cool. Are you there, D-Lock?
Oh yes, I was talking this whole time. I thought you could hear me. Um, so again, what I was saying was they started out with a 5-0 season. Great, but when they had their toughest component or opponent in Iowa State, that's the one they lost lost by 5. They come back. Now they face their first ranked team and Bama, and lose that one. So right now, again, we go back UNC Wilmington, Charleston, Gardner Webb, James Madison, and Portland. Those teams, we were expecting them to win those. Now they're starting to run into some tough opponents coming up. Like I said, you're going to start running into it. Indiana, like you said, is going to be tough. Even though Virginia Tech is not talked about much, they're going to bring some attitude. We know what Georgia Tech can do. And then a couple games later, you got Ohio State and Michigan and Pittsburgh. These are games back to back to back. So again, like I said, the season really starts in January. A lot, I think, but you're going to have some tough teams that you're dealing with right at this moment. And again, they got to come with it. I mean, that's just what that is. And right now, like you said, they're not showing anything impressive. North Carolina isn't, but hopefully down the stretch, we'll see what they can be down the road. But again, that biggest game with Bama, it kind of opens your eyes for when they play against Indiana next this Wednesday.
So we'll see what's going on with these teams. We'll keep an eye on these two teams. We definitely will. Top programs in the country. So we'll, keep it. We'll talk about them over the course of the year. But anyways, me and you talked about this before we got on the air, but like just right before the air, and I think it's a good thing to talk about because the Lakers here lately have been 5-1. Now, granted, it's been against lesser opponents, a la the Spurs, Pistons. Who else I thinking about? Spurs twice, Pistons, and Nets. They did lose to the Suns, which I think they got some bull jive calls at the end, and Patrick Beverley got suspended for 3 games. But you brought this point up about Miles Turner and Buddy Hield and that whole if they're going to do the trade or not for those 2 guys. Do you think Miles Turner will make a big difference for this Lakers squad? Because you brought up Ivan Zubac, had 31, 29 rebounds and 31 points. Shout out to him. And I blame Magic Johnson trading him away. But anyways, do you think Miles Turner will make a big difference for this LA squad if they make the move?
Well, to be honest, I'll go to really quick. I'll go to a game they played against. The Pacers played against Orlando Magic. We talked a lot about Mo Bamba, how we say that he hasn't really done too much. He started and had late Wendell Carter was out this game. Mo Bamba had 21 scoring points, 2 steals, an assist, and 9 boards. So what we see from Zubac today isn't just for me saying that. What you've seen in Zubac today against Miles Turner and other Pacers bigs isn't a hoax. This is what's happening every game against the Pacers. Like I alluded to before, for all you guys that play, ladies and gents that play DraftKings or plays FanDuel, NBA, make sure you get centers against the Pacers every time they play. Because right now it just seems like centers are having their best games against the Pacers. But with that being said, I tie that to the question that you asked me, how big of an impact did he do with the Lakers? I'm not sure how much of an impact he does make. Because right now the Lakers are struggling against centers at this moment. Jakob Poeltl just had a hell of a game against them a couple of days ago. So for me, I think that Buddy Hield would make a very good impact, but I think going to grab um, a Miles Turner, you're still gonna have to fill that void or that problem. Um, I think Thomas Bryant got a chance to play recently with Anthony Davis being out. Um, so you've seen him to get a little bit run. But hell, even when he was on Washington, I believe centers were eating against him as well. So for me, I think that getting Buddy Hield would be more beneficial. So if you're gonna make that trade, or you want to get that trade, and the biggest person that will make an impact to me would be Buddy Hield, because right now, the only person that can make shots with them right now is Lonnie Walker. Everybody else is not really making that big of a deal. Now, granted, the fact that LeBron has came back, I think the past 2 games he had a hell of a game against both. In fact, I believe the stats that he had with 39 and 7 boards, I think that was very similar to what he had when he was 18. So right now, what I think is that the Lakers need a big shooter, and also even trading with the Pacers to get Miles Turner, they still need a big man.
I'm gonna go a different way on this. I don't think the Lakers need to make a move like that. I'm gonna bring up the name Anthony Davis. Since LeBron has been out, and what Anthony Davis gotta realize, I know he don't want to play center. I know that. He said that. But, dog, when you play center, you damn near cooking. All these points he's been averaging, rebounds. He's been cooking. With the Nets, cook them. Nicholas Claxton go out. They didn't bring Sharp in and stuff like that. Punish them. Pistons, same thing. No Isaiah Stewart, no problem. Punish them. The first matchup, the Spurs at home, punish them. 30-18. Game against the Suns, even though it was a loss. And we know we talked about Ayton and stuff like here. Not the, strongest minded big man in the league. 37-21. Punish them. Of course, he didn't play the last game against the Spurs, but the win before that, 25-15. Punishing them. 10 for 13. No 3-point shots. What I'm alluding to, D-Lock, because they play the Pacers tomorrow at home. And the next game, they got the Blazers. Anthony Davis, if he's playing tomorrow, he's gotta be eating on those guys. He's been cooking these guys down low. Same thing for the Blazers. Besides, what's that big man's name? Jurkic or Juric. They got nobody else behind him. And good as Jeremiah Green playing this year, you don't want to guard him Anthony Davis for a long period of time. So I'm just Nurkic, excuse me. And then they got, bigs like Jarabi Walker and Trenton Walford and stuff like that. But after that, you got nothing behind those guys. And that's where Anthony Davis should be at the 5. You bring the most mismatch and best advantage to your team. Yes, Lonnie Walker has been a good find. Troy Brown, pretty decent as well. I still think they still got to figure out the point guard position, because they got a lot of guys that can't shoot the 3 ball on a consistent basis. You know, short. I mean, they got shorter back in the fold, but he can't shoot consistent basis. Kendrick Nunn, You seen what you got. You see what you got out of him now. It's time to make a move for him to get him out the door. Beverly, we know what he brings. He ain't shooting the ball with a damn. Westbrook playing pretty well off the bench. I'll give him that. So, you know, you find the right deal to take him. You know, you do the deal. But I mean, other than that, just keep him around. But back to Davis though. Those next 2 games, if he's playing, he's got to be cooking those guys down low. Now, granted, you got the Bucks on December 2nd. You know, they still don't have Middleton. You know, you're gonna get guys like Bobby Portis, Brook Lopez, and Giannis. You know, that's a different beast. But still, the way Anthony Davis has been playing here lately should make no need for the Lakers to really go after Miles Turner. If anything, you got to look at trying to get some more shooters. So, for my eyes, I don't say you don't do, like you alluded to. I mean, if you can find a way to get Buddy Hield in here, which the Pacers should be looking to get rid of Buddy Hield to free more time for Benedict, but you know, you find like another deal to get some other wing players or a good backup guard that can shoot the ball. That'd be perfect for the Lakers. You know, granted, you know, after the Bucks, you got the Wizards that he should be eating on. The Cavaliers, tougher matchup inside with guys like Mobley, Allen, you know, Dean Wade, Kevin Love if he's back in that game. Other than that, man, just the way he's been playing is like, why you want to put yourself at the 4 and put yourself at a disadvantage when you're at the 5 and you're just cooking people down low? And the way NBA has gone small, you know, you got an advantage. I don't get that. It's kind of like, you know, Al Horford all those years.
Yep.
Was bitching and complaining about, I don't want to play the 5 and blah, blah, blah. That's your best spot. That's how you flourish, dog. And then look what happened when he went to Philly to play the 4 with Embiid. It didn't work. It didn't work at all. So, some guys got to realize that Anthony Davis been in the league long enough. Like, okay, it is what it is. I play at the 5. I flourish. It took Al Horford a long time to come to that realization. But look how he flourished. You know, when he got to Boston, he really got to Boston. Great pickup for them.
That's the thing. I think that hopefully, like you said, Al Horford understands that now. He looks a lot better, and has lasted a long time in the league.
So yeah, I was just like, at some point, these players got to recognize, you know, where they are, who they are, and how they fit. You know? These guys weren't saying this stuff in high school because, high school, if you're like the tallest dude, you playing down low regardless. Unless you're that special talent that you play in the perimeter. But other than that, you know, you playing down low. You know, I just don't get that in basketball. If you got an advantage somewhere that you don't, as a player, don't want to exploit that and make that job easier for you. I really don't get that, you know, with these guys in the pros. I really don't. Kind of like with LeBron right now. Or at times with LeBron, like, damn, dude, you could be driving the basket pretty easy and getting contact and all that stuff and making easy layouts. But other times, you just try to take step back jumpers and shoot threes and stuff. Like, what are we doing here? And you got damn Patty Mills guarding you or some shit like that. Like, come on now. Or John Luke is guarding you or something like that. Like, what are we doing here? So I don't know, man. Just you brought up to my attention about Zubac, having 31-29. Great job by him, and I still mad at Magic Johnson trading him away like that because since Evan Davis didn't want to play center so much, you had your center right there in the fold, and Magic Johnson traded him away for Michael Beasley and Mike Muscula, who's not in the squad no more. And Michael Beasley, I don't know where he's at right now. So, great job by him. But, will Zubac be a factor come down playoff time? We don't know. Depends on the health of Kawhi Leonard. That's another mystery right there.
Yeah, exactly.
And
I don't know what the hell going on with him.
And, there's no timetable on his injury status. And, we talked about it in the show multiple times. It's like, damn, you're already out this period of time. Now you still missing time. I don't know. A lot of people start pointing that up. Like, yeah, we talk about Anthony Davis being street clothes, but when we're going to talk about Kawhi.
Man, this dude Kawhi, he on vacation even when Paul George hurt.
Yeah. So, when do you think Kawhi would come back?
Healthy. Like, fully healthy.
Well, hell, not even that. Like, when you think the next game he going to play?
Let me look at their schedule because with Kawhi is very tricky. I mean, that's with hell. I thought it was tricky when Paul George was playing. It's still tricky when he gonna play, even when Paul George ain't playing. So for me, let me see. Be honest with you, a couple of these games that and they're not, and it's not like for one, okay, yeah, cool, they won today, but they 12-9. They're just not getting situated. Now their roster is so deep, Morris Twin, Terrence Mann, Reggie Jackson, John Wall, Norman Powell, all these guys, Nicholas Batum, like they got guys that can come in and get a hell of a lot of minutes. So they're not needing other guys to actually play. To be honest, man, I think his next game is going to be against Charlotte. December 5th. Now, the thing is, matter of fact, I'm sorry, I take that back. I'll say Sacramento, because one thing about Kawhi I've noticed, or not just him specifically, but just noticing how he picks the games and he plays. He's not like when they got to go on the road. You really don't see him that much. That's what it's starting to seem like. So for me, I think they have a game at Portland coming up, at Utah. I don't think he travels with the team there. I don't think so. And then they got that Sacramento game at home. I think that Sacramento one is where he comes back. They see how he looks, what's going on with him, and then possibly we may see him against Charlotte, depending on what Sacramento looks like, and also the status of Paul George. I think Paul George is going to be out for a while, but
yeah, he's going to be out for a little while. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that with that, you're not going to see. You're probably going to see Kawhi a little bit, but hopefully we see more of him in 2023, man. Just right now, it just seems like he's just trying to get fully, because now you got to get him condition-wise into the shape that way he can last a lot in these games. But with their rotation, it's crazy. I just feel like the Clippers are kind of similar in their rotation, like the Spurs. They literally will have their guys in there for a couple minutes, and they got a whole nother group that literally play the rest of that quarter. And we won't see them top guys until halfway or 3 or 4 minutes left in the second quarter. So, um, and how Kawhi has been playing, it's like it's not needed. He's not gonna be seen that much. As talented as he is, man, and it's not a knock on him, but I don't think we'll ever see him in the running for MVP because I just don't think he will ever play the amount of minutes or the games.
Yeah, that ship is sailed. I think his best bet for MVP was like his time with Toronto. But God, it sucks to see a two-way player like Kawhi get, his injuries kind of have overtaken things. And I'll say this on the air. I think he will be a Hall of Fame player. I mean, a Hall of Famer. All said and done. Because hell, look at some of the guys that laid in anyways. But I think he'll be a Hall of Fame player. I just think, if you're the Clippers with the injury history and stuff like that, how committed you gonna be with them down the line? I mean, I know he's a big get to get. I know you sold the farm to get Paul George and all that stuff. But you kind of got to look at the future a little bit. It's like, okay, can we sell high on this guy and make some big moves and still try to contend? Because Steve Ballmer is a guy that wants to contend. He don't want to tank. All those years ago when they matched up against Golden State, he didn't want to tank in that time period when they easily could have. And crazy to those Clippers teams. They won 2 games against the Warriors, but Ballmer, he's bought the arena in Inglewood. He's getting that revamped. My California people in the chat, y'all can chime in, correct me on that if I'm wrong on that. But I think the Clippers got to start, think about, after the season, kind of have a long talk. Ty Lue, Lawrence Frank, Steve Ballmer. You really got to think about, is Kawhi really worth it?
That's what it seems like, and that's the thing. That's why I'm looking at this dude. Like, it's just like we don't know what to expect from him. I mean, he had those. He was that player in San Antonio where, you know how it was in San Antonio. You ain't really got to do too much, and that's what makes Tim Duncan such a hell of a player. Like, Tim Duncan is clearly, in my eyes, I think he's a top 10, hell, really close to top 5 player in the league ever, and he did it in a pop system. So, much more respect to him for that. Although I wish he would have came to Orlando Magic when we were supposed to get him, but neither here nor there. But now that Kawhi is in a different, we see him bringing that very similar system to a different team. And what makes it so bad is once he get hurt, now you know what? I didn't plan on playing that much anyway, but hell, now that I'm hurt, or I've gotten hurt, we're really going to scale back. So the expectations, that it hurts to see it. Like, he's going to be one of those players that, we could easily see this guy contend as one of the best players in the league. But can we say that right now? No. I mean, that's the honest truth. He'll be one of those players that get to the All-Star game, and we can be like, well, damn, how in the hell he got the All-Star game?
Yeah.
That's going to happen. And it sucks that that's going to be what it is. But you know how we see those players that we like, dang, well, they just got voted in because of what they done in the past. I believe he's going to be one of those players. He's going to get in because of, what he's done in the past and his name.
Yeah, and then, like, I won't say same breath as like Grant Hill per se, but you know it's hard. It's starting to look like that towards the end of his career. A lot of things like you probably can remember this as a London Magic fan. Like a lot of similarities to Grant Hill, but the only difference is, you know, he's won a couple rings, won a couple NBA Finals MVP titles. So I think that was separate those two in that discussion. But the injury part, yeah, I mean, very comparable to Grant Hill right now. And you hate to see that, and then like your Orlando Magic with Grant Hill, I mean you wait for him to come back and whatnot, and he comes back and he goes out in and out, and it really kind of hurt the team in the long run. You know, at that point until they got Dwight Howard in the fold, and he kind of restarted things that way. So. And plus trading Tracy McGrady as well, but you see where I'm going. Like at one point, you pull the plug on the whole thing and restart things, and then you got a nice young new franchise player that turn things around for you. But we'll see how things shake out for the Kawhi and the Clippers and Paul George and how to go about things and whatnot, and see what they do for the future. A team to keep an eye on, down the line. But real quick, just going over some scores tonight for the NBA and college basketball real quick. Grizzlies, I think, they pulled off against the Knicks 127-123. If this thing pulls up quickly. Come on now. John Morant, 27, 10, 14, triple-double for him. Jerry Jackson, 21 points. 23 points for Dylan Brooks. 9 points off the bench for Brandon Clark. 30 points for Jalen Brunson. And 14, 10, and 9 for Julius Randle. We look at the Knicks real quick, D-Lock. Brunson has been playing pretty well for the team. But I thought things would open up more for Julius Randle in like pick and roll situations with those two guys.
Yeah.
Are you kind of disappointed that the Knicks aren't a little better than what they presented themselves so far in the season?
To be honest with you, a little bit. I was thinking that Brunson was going to bring a little bit of defensive mind, a defense there, more defense. I was expecting more from the Knicks, but one thing that I feel like is a problem for them is their rotation package.
Yeah.
I've noticed that they have a lot of guys. Now Cam Reddish, who I don't believe he was starting in the beginning of the season, but he has been recently. He's been hurt. So Quentin Grimes, who's been playing outstanding the past couple games with the minute that he's been getting, he's been actually getting a lot of minutes. We haven't seen too much from Derrick Rose this season, which was kind of shocking. Now, a person that has actually regressed to me, and you tell me what you think, is Emmanuel Quickly. I haven't seen too much from him this season. But the fact is right now, Mitchell Robinson, Isaiah Hartenstein, Jericho Sims, and hell, even sometimes Obi Toppin, these guys are getting a lot of minutes or rotation at the five. Also throwing in Julius Randle with that. So it's kind of like they're spreading these minutes out with these, couple guys. And that's even with Mitch Robinson, missing a couple games. So, for me, it just seems like they have to get things going. Now, one player they signed, and I told you this even when they took his ass away from Orlando. Evan Fournier has not been worth anything since he's been there.
Nope.
So at this point, I don't remember off the top of my mind what his contract was. I'll look it up to double check. But they did lure him away. Well, they did sign him away from us, which was a great thing. because he hasn't done anything. Yes, 4 years, $73 million. I believe it's 73 million guaranteed, something like that. So all of it guaranteed. So he just went. Uh, we call it robbing the bank. I kind of compare him to Kirk Cousins for the Minnesota Vikings, who got all that damn money and haven't done anything except pad some stats sometimes. So for me, you haven't seen too much from Evan Fournier. I was expecting a little bit more from Jalen Brunson, but it just seems like they're having that same issue that I was saying that the Celtics were having a couple of years ago. They're trying to find who they run their offense through. And I honestly believe it needs to go through Brunson and Julius Randle. Julius Randle being the number one option. Now, for those that paid attention to the preseason, which I think we both did, Jalen Brunson was taking a hell of a lot of shots. And it seems like that's still the trend. It's just they're not finding the guy. Like they're having these different rotational guys, and quickly just isn't coming in filling that void, filling the role when Jalen Brunson is off the court. So it is shocking. But then again, we are talking about the Knicks.
Yeah, just real quick on the Knicks, real quick. I think, the microwave is not heating up. It's real cold right now. And Fournier, geez Louise. You don't talk about a guy that, God, I really took advantage of, dumb GMs being convinced of a handful of games to kind of like project what he could bring to the team. And this is why I would probably like a different discussion for a different show, but this is why I kind of hate when these CBA deals come up and these owners and GMs kind of want excuses for the bad contracts they give. This is one of those type of deals right here. This is one of those deals right there. And then, like Marcus alluded to in the chat, for me, we talked about this when he got hired, Tom Thibodeau. And modern day NBA, I don't think his offensive mindset is there. Defensively, he's great. He's fine. But if you try to get a good innovator on offense or change up things, he's not that guy. And we kind of it's really sitting that with this group here. You got three left-handed guys like Brunson, Barrett, and Randall. Got to find a way to take advantage of that. And he really hasn't really taken advantage of that. And then the way he plays the center position with Hartenson and Robinson, he Hartenson in starting line, then Robinson on the bench, and vice versa and stuff like that. I think he may find something in Cam Reddish, but he's got to be consistent with that time with him. So, and then he didn't even play Fournier tonight. If I'm looking at the box score correctly,
nope,
he didn't even play him tonight. And trying to find, and he's only averaging the games he played by 20 minutes a game. So you paying this dude $75 million and you're not even playing him. What we doing here?
Exactly.
So, the Sixers, they out without their star players right now. The Heat are kind of on the struggle bus with Jimmy Butler out. Chicago, we discussed them last week. It's just besides DeRozan and everybody else, it's kind of ugh. And then Charlotte, Orlando, Detroit are in rebuild modes. So maybe they can get together. Maybe not. Maybe they can sneak in for the playoff game. Who knows? But I think come January, we'll see what happens with Tibbs. If they don't make a good run, and after Christmas or so, then maybe they get rid of him. But I just think they got to figure some things out. You got a guy $75 million on the bench. He ain't doing nothing. Quickly, I know they're trying to ask for a first-round pick in return for him. I don't see that happening right now, unless a team is like really desperate and they need some scoring off the bench. But I don't know which way the Knicks go. They're just mid right now, in my eyes. But I'll let you have the last word.
They haven't done anything, to be honest with you. I mean, the signing of Jalen Brunson we thought was great. Hell, Isaiah Hartenstein, what the hell has he done? And the thing about it is, like, I think Isaiah Hartenstein is going to be. I think he's a good pickup, but it's just like they're still trying to find their role. They're still trying to find their rotation as well. I've seen Jericho Sims get a lot of damn minutes for a couple games at the center position. Then I see Mitchell Robinson get hella minutes. Like there's no chemistry of like, and there's no chemistry, and it's hard to catch that when you're rotating, numerous guys like that. Another team that does that a lot is the Oklahoma City Thunder.
Oh yes.
You see SGA been there for a while, then he will sit him and Josh Giddey. Then hell, now you see James Robinson Earl, the Trey Man, and Poku up in there. Like what the hell you doing? And then they wonder why their records are not what they expected to be, because they will be in the mix with these games, but you got a group in there that is just not getting used to each other. Then you take them out. So for me, and this is the reason why we talk about these teams with all these damn players. They like, remember I talked about it. Remember I was saying it a couple years ago about Boston. They actually got it together last year and found out that Tatum is the guy that leads this team. Remember, they will always have one day, a while back when they had Terry Rozier, it would be Terry Rozier. Then it would be Jaylen Brown. Then it would be Jason Tatum. They were trying to find who is the lead on their team. It's like these teams are doing that, and the Knicks are one of them that are doing that very heavily. And on what makes it even worse, Derrick Rose hasn't even played that much. So imagine when he gets healthy and he is playing, we're going to see a lot less of Jalen Brunson. So for me, don't forget they got Miles McBride over there. So with these pieces, I'm trying to figure out what are they trying to do. It seems like they don't know what they're trying to do. So again, Tibbs might be out there again, which, and even to this day, man, what he did with the Bulls, I just thought was amazing. The fact that he had, Derrick Rose. I felt like that team was solid, so I would give him respect for that. But there's a chance that he may not be there as well. But the Knicks keep changing coaches and keep refreshing and rebuilding. They continue to do this over and over and over. When does that actually stop? So at some point, they have to change this way of doing things anyway.
And we'll leave it on that, and we'll probably come around the Knicks again and see what happens with them. But this has been our show tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for tuning in with us. D-Lock, how can people find you on social media?
You guys can find me at Black-813 on Twitter and Instagram. Let them know they can find you in our show.
You can find our page on Twitter at FastBreakIESR. That's FastBreakIESR. Also, you check out IESportsRadio.com for all your latest show news and articles and feeds on the website. Do follow me on Twitter at Spawn4288. Spawn4288. Also, I do another show on the podcast called The Crooks Process. Check out my page on Facebook and Instagram, and on TikTok as well. That's Spawn4288. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, we'll talk to y'all about all things world of basketball. Of course, NBA action, college basketball with good games on the slate coming up this week. So we'll talk to y'all later. Peace.